Every year, there's a ton of new robot vacuums that are released. It's a big competition. What we're gonna do is find out which one is the very best.
Now we've got robots from Dreame, Roborock, Eufy, and Narwal, and we've narrowed it down to our top 5. And we're gonna make it a little bit simple for you guys and give you them from our worst to our best.
Each manufacturer has sent us their best robot. However, none of them know we're making this video and none of them have sent us any money. And I hope they still like us when we're done.
Now we're starting with the Eufy S1 Pro. And even though it's at the bottom of the list, we should point out that it is actually the best performing in one key area, which is mopping.
Now we should point out that every single robot in this test is excellent. Remember, these are our top 5. So the one that you pick is gonna depend upon your budget and your specific needs in your home. There's really not a bad one on this list.
Now, one of the biggest trends of the last couple years was actually started by Eufy, and it is in its mopping. See, with its mop rolling design, it actually is the best of its class in that area of focus.
So if you highly value mopping, if that's your big priority, just stop the video right here. Go ahead and get the Eufy. However, it's pretty good at other areas, but it's not the absolute best.
Now, every other robot in this video actually does have spinning style mop pads, which means they're excellent at mopping, but also for practicing hypnosis.
But what makes the Eufy really good at mopping is the fact that it has an onboard clean water tank, so it can actively wet the mop roller as it's mopping. And then it's also got a dirty water tank so that it picks up the dirty water from your floor, puts it in that tank, and goes back to the base station. There's nothing else in this video that does that.
And we should mention, because of this, there's actually very little streaking left on the hardwood compared to the other spinning style mop pads that the other robots have.
If you care about hardwood performance pickup, the Eufy S1 is excellent. However, it's not quite as good on carpet as the other ones because it just has a little bit low suction. And another thing to think about is when it's mopping, it doesn't get right up to the baseboard because there is a little bit of a gap between the edge of the roller and the edge of the robot.
Now, in terms of innovation, like Eufy, Narwal's advanced object avoidance definitely exceeded its competition. The Freoz Ultra was actually the very first robot vacuum to completely avoid a power cord consistently.
In my house.
In the house.
Now we should point out that no robot is perfect at obstacle avoidance. They all have their issues, but the Freoz Ultra is on the top 5 list because it's a pretty good performer on balance.
The Freoz is also very good at mopping, and pickup performance is also quite good. Now, it doesn't have an extending mop pad like some of the others in this test, but its anti-tangle performance is excellent.
Narwal pioneered anti-tangle technology with their conical brush roll design. So if you have pets, if you have long hair, it just means that you don't need to maintain the robot as much because the hair just doesn't get tangled.
Now, its base station is fully featured as well, and it's one of the quietest robots in this list.
Narwal is coming out with new products all the time, like the Freoz Flow, so you might be able to find a pretty good deal on the Freoz Ultra.
Now, the next trend set by the Roborock Qrevo Curv was a complete surprise to me. It can actually high jump about 4 centimeters.
Well, that's not quite true, actually. Let me tell you what it does. It doesn't high jump, but it actually can cross thresholds up to 4 centimeters high. That's about 1.3 inches. And this is one of the first, maybe the first robot to do this.
Okay, but Eric, why do we need a robot to be able to go over that threshold?
There is actually 2 reasons that I can think of that are pretty legitimate. People talk about these. One is if you have sliding doors, glass doors in your house, it's going to be able to get over those. And the other ones is if you have an addition to your house, maybe it doesn't quite line up. Maybe you've got some big tile and it can go over that threshold.
So suction is rated at 18,500 pascals. And while I'm not sure the manufacturing numbers are completely accurate, in its real world performance, it's really close.
The Curv had one of the highest scores in carpet pickup performance we've seen at 80%. Now its mopping performance is also pretty much on par with any other robot with rotating mop pads. Now another area where there's a lot of advancement is obstacle avoidance. So that's a combination of advanced sensors and a dedicated AI chip that's actually becoming pretty common now in flagship robots. Now while it's excellent, the obstacle avoidance in the Qrevo Curv isn't quite as good as the rest in the group. But what is really good is the anti-tangle system. Roborock has this new duo divide design. They've been rolling it out across their Qrevo lineup, and it's excellent. And that brings us to our runner-up,
which is the Dreame X50 X50 Ultra, and the X50 incorporates two major advancements, the first of which is its anti-tangle.
So a couple years ago, manufacturers were really struggling with anti-tangle technology, but I think Narwal was one of the first with their purple roller system that was very effective in the real world.
Yeah, and now actually a lot of the robots have pretty effective anti-tangle systems reflected in this video. Now, the Dreame X50 uses a dual rubber brush roll system that funnels the hair into the central inlet of the vacuum.
Now the side brush, it can still see tangles sometimes on longer hair occasionally, but it's not too difficult to remove. Now the other big advancement is threshold crossing technology. So the Dreame X50 Ultra is our current champ at crossing thresholds. Dreame says it can cross a threshold up to 6 centimeter high. Now to do that, it has to be a double layer threshold. We've tested it up to 38 millimeters. That is a 2x4. It's a little more than 1.5 inches, so it's really good. Now that all sounds really good on paper, but in practice, in the real world, it's very effective at other things, such as not getting stuck on wire leg table chairs, where a lot of other robots do. And just in general, it doesn't get stuck as much as a lot of other robots that preceded it.
Now the X50 has some of the highest scores in mopping and pickup, and its AI obstacle avoidance is top notch.
And the reason that is, it's got a top-mounted LiDAR system that rotates 360 degrees, but what's super cool is that it can go down into the body of the robot and get under furniture like my stove.
The X50 has an advanced base station like every other robot in this test. It has auto emptying, hot water mop washing, hot air mop drying, and it can leave its mops behind when it goes to vacuum carpet. And this brings us to our #1 robot.
Now, before we get to the finalists, I've actually got a super cool announcement that I'm really excited about. I just received the Saros C70. That is the robot from CES with the arm, the claw that picks up stuff. And we're gonna be testing that in the next week or so. So subscribe to this channel if you wanna see that first, and also subscribe to our newsletter if you wanna be notified of the best deals in the vacuum world at vacuumnerds.com.
And the very best robot in our testing is the Roborock Saros 10R. Now, it was very close with the Dreame X50, neck and neck, but it did come out just on top.
What does the R stand for? We've just decided that R stands for redonkulous because it's redonkulously good.
Okay, so Eric, how did we determine it being the best?
There's two things really. So its anti-tangle system is just a little bit better than the others. Specifically the side brush just doesn't get caught up with long hair, so that's pretty good. And also in the real world of my house, it got stuck over the last couple weeks less than the other robots. So it is a razor thin margin, but it's a razor thin competition and we gotta make a decision.
The 10R has a solid state navigation and obstacle avoidance system that's embedded into the front of the robot. So that keeps its profile height to just around 8 centimeters or 3.1 inches.
The navigation system scans the floor with over 21,000 individual points. It does this very rapidly and it creates a 3D map of your house. And it also has a side sensor and an RGB camera. And its processing power and the ability to react in real time to objects is excellent.
Its pickup performance on carpet and hardwood is really, really good.
So of all the robots in this test, it's the one that I trust the most in my house to go clean, get the job done, and not get stuck. The Saros 10R edged out the Dreame by a single point. So if you're looking for one of these on the market, just pick by price. But now, let's talk about the final score. So starting at the bottom, the Eufy S1 Pro had 74 points.
And the Narwal Freoz Ultra came in right above it at 78 points.
The Roborock Qrevo Curv, 85.
And the Dreame X50 Ultra losing by just a whisker at 87 points.
And the Saros 10R at 88 points. Links are down below, and there's an amazing video right here somewhere.